All right, so we're that three-song sequence as we think about the fact that we're in the approach to the inmost cave. And I said pay attention earlier to the flow and the progression of Jefferson's flow. What did you guys notice happening with his flow? But better, like besides he got faster and more confident, especially when we got into Washington on your side, right? One thing that I think was just kind of clever, whether it was, some of it was definitely in the writing because it went from simpler, just even a simpler rhyme structure, to lines like, I'm in the cabinet and I'm complicit in watching and grabbing and power and kissing, and if Washington is going to listen to discipline dissidents, this is the difference. This kid is, so even in the writing, it has definitely moved more complex. But I had mentioned before that Daveed Diggs was playing it just slightly behind. And I personally find that from this point on, he changes. And right after, as Wall Street robs him blind in search of Chip Street cash-ins, is asking for someone to bring him to task. Then he gets, like, the confidence hits in. He's like, somebody give me some dirt in this vacuous mask so we can get last and mask him. I'll pull the trigger on him. Someone load the gun and cock it. While we're all watching, he got Washington in his pocket. I felt at that moment he really truly just locked in to the groove and the flow, and in what rap terms is called the pocket, which concludes with the line, he's got Washington in his pocket. So I just found that a very subtle, kind of clever take, lyrically moving in on that. So, but if we're talking approaching a more inmost cave, Jefferson is becoming a more and more formidable foe. And I think, the evolution of his rap flow is really helping make us feel subconsciously that he is getting more and more deadly, so to speak, as a foe. Anything else you're noticing in these three songs, how they work for the story?
I'll just mention that the upstate theme, that Eliza and Angelica are inviting Hamilton to go upstate, and it's not just to take a break, but it's really well written that the break would be to go upstate. Ironically, if only he had gone upstate, he might have actually won the hearts and minds of the people upstate, and that's Burr's territory. And so that sort of theme, this is one of these careful things you notice the second time through. I think is important.
Also, as they approach the inmost cave, what are they saying is Hamilton's biggest asset?
Washington.
And what's about to happen in the next song? What? Washington's going to retire. Given the length of time, I'm just going to go ahead and continue talking into little things of what to listen for in one last time. I will play the whole song in class here before I pack up, but if you do have to run or you know the song, I understand it. I want to get this in. So again, when we're talking about things, there are things in history that I think, again, we weren't necessarily taught or we have a hard time comprehending. Besides the plot thing that this is now setting us aside, and I wanted to get through this song because that sends us into the Supreme Ordeal with what we're starting with on Thursday. And setting up and getting rid of his one last big asset. But I think it's easy to forget, and I think the song does a great job of telling us historically that the idea of this changing monarch, this presidency, is fairly unprecedented in history. That this was a huge decision made, and things, especially when we're talking about American history and we're living in the present, things seem so foretold. And I think he does a good job of, while we know that Washington left, I think Lin-Manuel Miranda does a good job of making it still feel a bit like a surprise, and underscores historically through this, plus as we transition King George's reaction, how unlikely this was a historical event. So that will wrap up and take a listen to one last time before we come in and finish out the show on Thursday.
Mr. President, you asked to see